Good day to all of you. This is Jose Alain Austria from the Salle College of St. Benilde, and I'm here to present to you the salient points of my paper entitled Traslacion at Roblox, the Pandemic and the Emergence of a Black Nazarene Virtual Sacred Space. There are three things to remember when we talk about the Traslacion as a ritual. First, its main focal point is a 17th century dark statue of the Nuestro Padre Jesus Nazareno. And this is a statue of Mexican provenance that is believed to be miraculous by the faithful for more than 4 centuries. Second, apart from having the object of devotion, you have the ritual itself. And that ritual is the Traslacion del Nazareno, which commemorates the transfer of the image from San Nicolas de Tolentino Church in Intramuros to its permanent home at the parish of San Juan Bautista in Quiapo. This happened sometime in the late 18th century. The actual year is still debatable, but historians agree that this happened on January 9, which at that time is the feast of the Holy Name of Jesus. The third thing to remember is that this ritual must always have a sacred space, a stage on which it should be performed. So that sacred space was once confined to Quiapo district. But as the procession grows larger and larger, it now encompasses other districts of Manila, which includes the Luneta and the Civic District in Ermita, as well as the Chinese districts of Binondo and Santa Cruz. There were several attempts in the past on the part of the church and the government to tame this so-called wild and raucous procession of Manila. But it was COVID-19 who actually succeeded in taming it a little bit. Because of the demands of the new normal, Quiapo Church, which is the center of popular devotion or religiosity in the Philippines, must learn how to adjust to the new normal. This includes a shift into online modalities, particularly the live streaming of masses, novenas, rosaries via social media platforms. And this is not difficult because Quiapo always had a well developed social media arm. It also includes the decentralization of the January 9 celebrations. From being Quiapo centered, they encourage each parish in the Philippines to conduct their own fiesta activities, provided they follow IATF rules. There's also a reverse pilgrimage. Instead of people coming to the Black Nazarene, the Black Nazarene in turn, through a motorcade, will come to the parishes of Manila, Suffragan Diocese, and other neighboring provinces. And all these point to one message. As long as this pandemic is here, it is not necessary to go to Quiapo physically to perform one's panata. There were obvious casualties as long as the devotion to the Black Nazarene is concerned. And these are the ones that are most overt and the most tactile. COVID 19 needs a lot, or preventing COVID 19 demands social distancing. And there is a clash between social distancing and the tactile, physical nature of these two rituals, particularly the pahalik, which is actually the first casualty, and it was already discouraged as early as February 2020. So nobody is allowed to touch, kiss, or venerate any of the images. You're only allowed to gaze, but not to touch nor to kiss. More so, the Black Nazarene, whether it's original or the other replicas. By the end of 2020, it's pretty obvious that there will be a cancellation of the Traslacion of 2021. This is to avoid a spike of cases in Metro Manila. Church and state officials opted to cancel the Traslacion despite the protests of diehard devotees. The cancellation of the 2021 Traslacion now puts the idea of Traslacion as a sacred ritual in limbo. Can there be a Traslacion without Quiapo? Can there be a Traslacion without even a sacred space? Since practically IATF's restrictions are, are implemented throughout the country. And can there be a translation without the physicality, which is one of its main components? So many of these people feel that live streaming seems to be a very passive way. They wanted something of the adrenaline rush that characterizes the actual translation. Thus came to the picture a group of young people who call themselves the Filipino Catholics of Roblox. Responding to the mentioned challenges, this group came out with a well-researched virtual translation via the gaming app Roblox. The original aim is really to find a new way to catechize the young. The game was meant to serve as an interactive catechetical tool for young Nazareno devotees. This also provides them the opportunity to experience the whole translation ritual without exposing themselves to the coronavirus. The group also managed to present in an ingenious way a new virtual space and a virtual ritual by creating a virtual Quiapo, including portions of Luneta, Binondo, and Santa Cruz, and a platform to perform the ritual of the Traslacion with an adrenaline rush akin to ordinary online games. This lay initiative was actually received with much praise and accolades by many sectors. It received a lot of endorsement, both formal and informal, from church organizations. Although it did not receive any monetary support, it's basically uh, pro bono on the part of the creators. So it received the thumbs up from the Quiapo Church, the Archdiocese of Manila, and other neighboring dioceses, as well as Catholic media outlets such as TV Maria, Radio Veritas, and JustCom. It is also praised by parents of young devotees for its unique and catechetical and historical emphasis. So the game received a lot of praise from parents who are wary of online games, especially those that overtly promote violence. This one, in turn, puts much emphasis on prayer, religious history, and even Manila's rich historical heritage. So it received a lot of media mileage as a pious novelty. The group received a lot of media attention when the clips began to circulate around social media. Mainstream news outlets noticed it immediately. So the creators are busy giving interviews to these major news channels. So they became an overnight sensation uh, by simply presenting or creating what they perceive to be as a pious novelty. Now, what's interesting about the actual game, which was beamed for roughly 6 hours, is that the physicality is replicated in the Roblox virtual space. It is interesting to note that in the live game of January 9, 2021, the physical, rowdy dynamics of the actual translation was actually replicated. What cannot be expressed in COVID stricken Manila found an outlet in digital form in raw translation. Now, the game unconsciously mirrors the dichotomy between conventional and popular piety. Roblox Translation became a venue for the clash of pieties, that of the genteel and the catechized who follow conventional piety, and that of the unchurched. Now, nobody doubts their sincerity, as well as the passionate nature of their piety. And these are basically people from the inner city masses. The organizers of the virtual procession were also overwhelmed by the passionate response of the many devotees. just as Manila's civic and church authorities were overwhelmed by the sheer number and assertiveness of real life devotees. Roblox Traslacion organizers struggled to maintain discipline in the virtual realm. Roblox Traslacion survived the crucible of January 9, 2021. In doing so, it succeeded in expanding the definition of sacred space from live stream to virtual. Since the start of the pandemic, Filipinos fully embraced the live streaming of sacred spaces to their homes. This game pushed it further, not just by extending, but creating an entirely digital and alternative Quiapo. In overcoming the challenges of mounting a virtual traslacion, the group has made virtual pilgrimages as an acceptable alternative. In fact, they're working now on a virtual Semana Santa and just finished their successful virtual Sinolog and virtual Lourdes Fiesta, also hosted by Roblox. Finally, this particular game is a testament to Filipino creativity and resiliency. The whole project affirms the fact that Filipino creatives thrive in times of crisis. The limitations of the pandemic forces us to think out of the box and to create new things. We thought that COVID-19 would basically get rid of the Traslacion this year, but what happened is that they were able to create an entirely new way of conducting the translation in digital format. Let me end this very, very short presentation by thanking all the people and the organizations that give permission for the use of the following photo and video clips, as well as special thanks to all the individuals who made this research possible. Thank you very much for patiently listening to this lecture and enjoy the rest of the paper presentations in this webinar. Thank you very much and have a good day.